Hey y'all, we couldn't video none of it because we had to turn the power off. But we got this whole roof out here. Whole ceiling, I guess. It's pulled out. So, it's out. Just gotta clean up a little bit of stuff there, and we're good to go. Like I said, we're patching these walls today, but we had to get that stuff out of the way to make it where we could patch those walls. So, we're getting it. Now we gotta clean up all this. We do still have a mortar over here already mixed. So, we're getting it slowly but surely. Y'all, it looks like a damn war zone back here. I mean, if anybody walked in right now, they'd run like hell. They'd seen this. But about 10 minutes, we'll have it cleaned up here. Looking good. After all, plaster on the wall has fell down. He's laying over there. And from this rock wool insulation. Fell down. Most of this did not have insulation. Just this front 2 or 3 feet here. So we're still working on it.
Donnie, did you start a video yet?
Yeah.
Did you talk about the brick pockets?
No.
Okay. So in these old buildings, usually the beams sit in brick pockets on the side. So a brick pocket is like over here, where you have basically a hole in the brick, and the brick wall, and the beam goes into the brick wall. But over here, they didn't have that. Remember this, behind that right there is a glass window, so we think this may have been added on at some point, but for whatever reason, on that side there's no brick pockets. The beams just lay up there. And the beams meet in the middle. So it's not like they needed it to get them in, they only go halfway, which is why we had to put up this support beam. So yeah, but they're getting it all cleaned up, getting all the trash out of here. All of the old 2x4s and paneling from the 80s and 90s, getting gone. Going back to a plaster wall. It's not really plaster, it'll be concrete. So it'll look less like a dungeon once we get it all smoothed out and painted and everything. But right now it's a work in progress. But we're getting there. So originally this room would have had windows on the back, even though it was for a jail, Donnie.
You still got to have bars in the windows. They got to give them fresh air.
That's true. Well, it originally would have had windows that are covered with the plaster. So that tells us the plaster is not from, so this building was built in the 1920s.
Hey.
Basically what they're doing is, since the roof leaked for so long, it destroyed a lot of the plaster. So where it's loose, we're taking it off, and then we're going to patch it back. Now, this is one of the windows that would have originally been in there. Those bricks, Donnie, how old are those bricks?
The top one, bro. The bottom one.
Yeah, so you can learn a lot about how they constructed things and repaired things by looking at it as you take it apart. So the bricks on the right would be original to the building. So they're probably from the 20s or the 30s.
Bricks on top of that window look like the same.
Yeah, the bricks above it are the same. Now, why is there a missing piece there? It's because that was rotted wood. Right there. So why is there a piece of wood? It's because that was the lintel to hold up the bricks above the window originally. Like, I think it's L-E-N-T-E-L, lintel. So it was to hold up the bricks above it, make sure they don't collapse on the window, blah, 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 right? So that rots away. So we're going to have to put bricks in there to replace that. Somebody at some point came in and bricked up the window, which must have been 30s, 40s, 50s. If I was going to guess, I'd say 50s.
I would say 60s.
Donnie guesses the 60s. But the bricks look a little newer. Don't they look like they've got more of a baked face? The old bricks, I think they were baked, but they were more dried, right? But the new bricks are harder. So like you can tell out here. I'll show you. So these are old bricks. So this is stuff that was from the building was built in the 20s, but we think maybe this back room was added later, but it may have been a year later, you know, but because that window's covered up in there. So our thinking is, since there's a window on that wall above the door, that was probably at one point the back wall, okay? And then they added this back room or whatever. So these bricks are likely from the 20s or the 30s. It's got limestone mortar. That's just softer, right? That's mold that not mold, but moss that I'm rubbing away. But you can take a screwdriver or something and just scrape all of that out if you messed with it. It's the old lime mortar, okay? So these bricks are softer. Okay, and then a more modern brick is the ones in the window. It's harder. It's like it's got a more of a baked finish. Okay, and then also this mortar doesn't have as much lime in it. And you say, well, how the hell do you know that? Well, you can just tell by looking at it. You really can. The lime mortar's softer. I mean, I don't want to mess it up, but I can literally take my finger and wear it away if you mess with it enough. And then this mortar is much tougher, right? So somebody has put those in probably in the 50s. Those are just newer bricks. So then you come over here. What's going on, amigo?
Hola, amigo.
Hola.
¿Cómo está?
Mucho bueno.
Okay.
These are probably from the 90s, you know, so it's the same thing. It's just a much harder brick, and the mortar is more modern. It's just got more plaster of Paris in it. So the more plaster of Paris you have in it, the stronger it is. But back in the 30s, they didn't really use that much plaster of Paris. No, not plaster of Paris, Portland cement. I got that all screwed up. It's got more Portland cement in it. Back in the 30s, I was thinking, well, damn, if it was called plaster of Paris, it's probably really old. So you can just tell dates by the way the bricks look, really. Yeah. You go down here to this next building. You got a similar thing. These bricks with the lines in them are almost always from like the 50s. We've got a building across the street from the 30s that's got some of them in it though, but you can kind of tell by the mortar too. You know, it doesn't look quite like the brand new stuff, but it doesn't look like the really old stuff either. So it's hard to get like an exact date, but you can usually kind of tell, okay, that's older than that, which is older than that. And then here on the back of this building, you can also see that they've also bricked up windows. And it's just common stuff that they do everywhere. There was a window, there was a window. Depends on who did it too. Sometimes they'll match it really well, and they'll even piece the bricks in where so see how here they got their grout lines matching pretty well. It gets off a little bit up there, but if you look really carefully, the bottom half was done by somebody different than the top half. The bricks are even different, probably even done at a different time. So they may have done the bottom half and still had windows up there, and then later on went back and replaced those. And then if you look down here, they had a little hole there. It's probably they had a window air conditioner, like a wall. I think they call them swamp coolers now, or swamp chillers, what do they call them? Something like that. They probably had an air conditioning unit hanging out of the back of that at some point. But so what does all this matter? It doesn't at all. We're just trying to figure out history, you know. It's kind of, you know, you got an old building. It's just kind of neat to try to figure out what happened, when it happened. And little things like this are like little tiny clues that give you just a little bit of information. So I would guess 50s they blocked it up. But then that means that the mortar inside is from the 50s. So what would that mean? Well, that means that it's not lime. It's probably not, it doesn't have a ton of lime in it. Because by the 50s they were using stuff with more Portland cement in it, so which was similar to what we're using now. Which means we're patching it with kind of similar to what is up there at the moment. So a lot of that wall, the plaster, was actually savable. The bottom had issues, so that they basically taken away everything that was loosely adhered, so we can patch it like we did over here. We gotta get an electrician in to move our service feed. That's pretty crazy. They had a drop ceiling back here or something. I don't know. Or they just looped it up on the roof, but getting all of the trash cleaned up.
So we're having a problem with the mortar having too much grit or granular. So we made a screen here. So we'll screen it all out and make sure it's nice and smooth. That's the problem. It ain't smooth for us. We want it smooth. Sick. We want it to be like mayonnaise. Can't be like chunky peanut butter. It's got to be like mayonnaise. Slick as a baby's butt. So we're gonna show you how the sifter works. Boom. See all them rocks? Tons of granular in it for some reason. So we gotta, that's what we're trying to get out. Of course, that wasn't a big plastic, so it's a little different, but
All right, folks, so he is putting in nice new bricks to fill in that hole on the wall to make sure that the little bit of brick above it is stable. There's only about 4 courses above it, so it's not the most necessary thing in the world, but you gotta fill that in with something if you're gonna stucco it. You could cut another piece of wood and put in there, but once you plaster over it, you're just asking for it to rot away, so. We're going with brick. All right, so he has got the bricks in there, and now he's going on with the plaster. We're calling it plaster, it's really just concrete. Mortar, basically. All right, so they did 2 levels of concrete, and so there's a crack all the way around the edge of the floor where the top layer doesn't go because they had 2x4s and stuff. So we're filling that in, getting that in. Boy, we're getting there. I love it. See where all the 2x4s were. Finally getting them taken care of. Awesome. Boy, it looks good, Jaime. It's great. How'd you get so good at it? Donnie, you look like the Phantom of the Opera. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
There's a shadow on the wall, and he's talking to the girl through the wall.
I might not have
This
seen that.
this is a creepy looking room here right now, but I think it's because of that one light.
That one light's got us, but that's enough to get by here. We got the plaster done in this back room.
Well, it's not all the way done, but pretty much done.
95%. It looks a hell of a lot better than what it did when we started.
We're gonna leave it how it is for a while.
We've got all this slicked up, smoothed up. We got some nail pops that we got to take care of there, but other than that, we're well on the way. We cleaned the bottom of the walls up all the way around. We pulled this ceiling out that was up here that was all screwed up. I got a little bit of footage of that we'll put in here. But we got it out.
You can see when we did the roof,
Where we put the new stuff in for the roof.
the new parts of the roof that whenever we were working on it,
Yep.
they've already seen those videos.
Yeah, they already seen, but they never saw.
They
it
never
because
saw the
we
bottom.
We had that thing up, and they probably didn't see much of us replacing it. So we were trying to get it before the rain came.
Mm-hmm.
But we got it all. It's looking good. It's looking nice. We left one hole over there to run our AC lines through for our central air and heat.
Seemed to be where they were running theirs through.
Yeah, and
At some point.
It's right there. There's a little brick scoop out there that we can set the unit on.
Now that top corner up there is where they had the radio whip coming through.
Yeah, I had all the radio whip and all them wires and all that stuff coming through there, gas line and all kinds of stuff.
Hey, I'm gonna show them the light. This is how they used to do electric back in the day. Now this back room, remember at one point it didn't have that column, we added that. So this was just one big room, right? And so they put one light, back in the day whenever they put lights in, they didn't use very many. So they had one light bulb right there in the middle of the roof. Well, this is how they used to do it back when in the 30s, whenever they did lighting or electric.
Right here.
They would run two lines from the power box, a neutral and a hot. And so you can see really good how they did it right here. This line comes up here to this knob and goes that way. And it's still attached. Right? And then this one came through and would have attached to that knob. It's been pulled down and ran over there to that other knob, right? So you had one line running down here and one line running down here for one light. And I believe the actual box is still hanging up there. We'll get rid of that, but I know, is that the end of the lines right there?
I think that's the end of the line right there.
Yeah, that's the end of them right there. But that's how they went through all that trouble just for one light bulb. And when they went through the beams, they had little porcelain things that they ran through. Donnie's gonna show us one. Let me get down where the light's not blinding us. So they would drill a hole in the wood, knock those through, and then run the cable right through it because they had problems where they didn't want it to chafe on the wood and burn the building down. So.
Them's porcelain, and they work perfect for knife sharpeners. It's a fine knife sharpener. You take it and you hold it like so. You get your pocket knife out, sharpen up the pocket knife. So that's why I got.
Nobody has a pocket knife anymore, though.
I do.
So they've got it all slicked in. This side as well, from last time. Now, Donnie, why does this on the left still look wet, even though they did it 2-3 weeks ago?
The problem with this whole building is right now it's sweating bad. We still got a few air leaks in it, so it's changing temperatures constantly, and
We're still getting moisture. We're not getting water in the building. We're getting moisture in the building, in the air. And one of the reasons is because we haven't done the bathroom yet. So this cave here is going into the bathroom, which at some point they built on the outside of the building. Well, it's not sealed to the building very well. You can go in there and just look through the bricks outside. So basically this back portion of the building is open to the elements a little bit, to the air. So you get the walls sweating. You can see the water sweating on the walls. It was raining all day today. It's not actually leaking. It's just the moisture in the air. And since it's warm in here and it's cold outside, or cold outside and warm in here, you get moisture.
Screws with it. I've been running a construction heater in here trying to keep it warm, and that's screwing with it even more because it can't acclimate to outside temperature. If it would stay the same, then bricks get cold. It takes a while for them to warm back up, and vice versa. So
We need to get it, basically we need to get it more airtight, and all of that will stop. The front room doesn't really have too much of that going on.
yeah, or we need to get the HVAC in here. We get the HVAC in here, it'll dry it up.
So that's where we're at. So tell them what to do, Donnie.
Subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. It's free, people. It is free. Everybody wants something for nothing, so subscribe to the channel. It's free. Give us a thumbs up for filming it, and we'll catch you on the next one.